Oh, I think it's important. Holding the mirror up to nature. I have a very strong conviction about it. Actors are like, it's going to sound quite esoteric to start with, they're like high priests. It's not that we have, magic power or believe all the gobbledygook, but we focus groups onto issues. The function of theatre, let's talk about theatre as the oldest craft of acting, 2,500 years old. In those theatres in ancient Greece, all across that Greek world, an entire community would come together into its one venue to discuss a salient issue. A bit like when a group of people these days who are politically aligned will come in, and it'll be very, like when equity was brought together into the meetings about the Hobbit, incredibly powerful, cathartic stuff going on. This is what theatre was about, both comedy and tragedy. The catharsis of comedy and the catharsis of tragedy are almost identical. How you are after a big cry and how you are after a big laugh, your body is basically in the same state. And that meant that the playwright or the poet, through the group of actors, was doing the ritual, if you like. But that's where I think it comes from. And even on a basic level, I say to, especially in theatre, well, it works in film too, I say to young actors, if you think about it, you're up there and the audience is looking up to you in all ways, physically, but also looking to you for the virtue of your performance and your message and your function in whatever it is, whether it's a good character, evil character, whatever it is. So the responsibility that comes with that is enormous, I think. Even in the most farcical of comedies, you can't, you have to take it seriously. You have to be responsible. And when I said holding a mirror up to nature, that is so true, because everything that goes on in a play or a film reflects somehow the social mores of what's going on. The mirror is always the same. What it's reflecting is always different. But what it has reflected in prior times will also affect what it's, this is an enormous function of communication in our society, and I think without actors, without plays, films, operas, I suppose, dances, without those things, those reflections, we could not be human fully. It helps us to experience what it is to be fully human. When I started on Hercules, 1993, this was an American show. So Kevin Sorbo, who played Hercules, was a member of the Screen Actors Guild. All the actors that came down, Screen Actors Guild. So they all got trailers and a whole bunch of stuff. But I came in from New Zealand at the beginning there. I was playing the second lead. I was playing the sidekick. I was getting no residuals, and I was setting up my little place to write and think during the shooting in the wardrobe bus. And I just was going, I'll just make no noise here, I'll be fine here, And it wasn't until the producer, Eric Grundemann, noticed this and said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, there's nowhere else." And he went, "Get him a camper," and I started to think, oh my goodness, this is right. And in fact, what happened, one of the other producers, Rob Tabbert, came up to me after about episode 9 and said, "Sir, we have got to get you into the Screen Actors Guild. I'm telling you this as a friend, not as a producer, because if we make 100 episodes and you're not in the Screen Actors Guild, you're going to really hate me for the rest of your life." And what he meant was that, of course, residuals, and being looked after and having a space, all of the things that make show the respect that acting needs,
So that was a producer looking after your best interest.
Absolutely, because I was doing really good work, as good as anybody else that can, if not better. Not just my story, this is the story about New Zealand actors, as good, if not better work, harder working, way more efficient mostly, less attitude, positive, all of that stuff. And he just went, we've got to fix this. And I ended up going to America and working on a show that he was producing in America and getting the extraordinary alien status and all that stuff that you do. And eventually I became what they call a Taft-Hartley must join. What that means is Screen Actors Guild waived the requirement that I be a member of SAG to work on this particular show because I had extraordinary gifts. But what they do is they say, you can do that, but now you're a must join. It only happens once. If you now go on to another Screen Actors Guild show, you must join, which of course means that they have to let you join, which of course that's how you get in if you're not an American. And so I became a must join, came back to New Zealand. Hey, I'm doing Hercules. It's a SAG show, must join. So from episode 13 onwards, I got all the benefits of being a Screen Actors Guild member. Residuals, a camper of my own, turnaround issues, like if they break your turnaround, getting paid for that. Much shorter turnaround than New Zealand actors. All of the things that go with having a strong union that looks after its members. And I found that out by accident through the help of producers, funnily enough, who have since become really good friends. For a little bit, what's interesting coming out of that whole experience in 1999, 2000, and going on to New Zealand film sets again. And I remember going on to a set for a film that got abandoned in the end. But I went to makeup, put on the suit, playing a rich German businessman, came out, and then looked around and looked at the third Eddie and said, where should I go? And they went, oh, quick, and they got a seat and put it by the tea urn. And I just went, are you kidding? I said, no. And I said, what if it rains? Oh, we'll move everything into the tent. So that's when I realised that there was, and I thought, God, if I have to ask for that, Joe Bloggs coming out of drama school who's scared of any producers isn't going to ask at all. You have, as an actor, as much right as anyone else in any other industry to be treated fairly and with respect, to feel that your craft is worthy, to feel empowered, to feel that you can walk into any situation and know what's going to happen. All actors have that right. It's called equity with every other industry. And we need to be part of Actors' Equity to make sure that you have that, especially if you're new in the industry. People like me, I don't care about asking people for what I want. But at the other end, when I was 20, I would have been terrified of talking to any producer or anyone in authority for fear I might lose the job or somehow get punished. And whether we like it or not, that feeling still pervades. So to make that go away and to create a fairer and happier and, in the end, more productive workspace, we need to be part of Actors' Equity.